Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood-Austin. Welcome back.
You look super cute today in your slightly oversized white button-up.
Thank you.
I like it. I think that's a cool look.
Very oversized. Yeah.
I
love wearing it.
It's classic.
Know what? Oversized shirt, skinny jeans, and loafers. That's just...
I like that.
From high school forward.
It's an awesome look for you. What kind of shoes you wearing? Let's peep the shoe.
A navy blue leather loafer.
I like it when you stick it up there.
Penny loafer.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my blue little slip-in runner.
You know why I didn't? Because if I pull my leg up right now, I've got a little femoral hernia right now.
Yeah, that's right.
So I lift my leg up like that, it could pop out. Welcome to the broadcast where we've got no secrets.
I'm excited about this show because at least once during this program, we need to talk about your upcoming Martinis and Menopause program.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
I got some flack for not knowing the name of it and trying to outro the show. And what did I say? Well, I don't know.
It doesn't bear repeating.
Masquerade and menopause or something. But I wanted everyone to know, and I've already said this to like the 15 people that have asked me about it. I was just trying to billboard it and remember the name of it. I wasn't trying to make fun of it.
Someone actually texted me and said, I'm watching your podcast. They were watching it on YouTube. And she said, your face when he said that. And I was like, yeah, I wanted to kill him right then. And I know you didn't mean any harm. It did sound very dismissive, but you didn't mean it that way. Thank you for asking about it. I think I'm going to make this kind of a quarterly event. This time I called it Martinis and Menopause just because I just needed a catchy little name. But I have a Facebook group called Midlife and Menopause. It's just a very small group of people who just want to kind of talk more about and go through perimenopause and menopause together. I always have some kind of like group for whatever phase of life I'm in, I guess, you know, and I tend to isolate and that's not good. And so having a group like that is an easy way to connect with other people. And I think this is the first time we've gathered in person, and that's this week, and I'm excited about that. But I think I will maybe do like a quarterly get together.
Okay.
And just share and talk. And one thing that I posted in the group, I think just yesterday, that it's important for people to know there will not be anyone there selling anything.
Right.
There have been some gatherings locally that are menopause focused on perimenopause and menopause and and it's an informational thing and they have like guest speakers and whatever, but then they backdoor you into a product or service, right?
I gotcha.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a salesperson, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what this is.
Right.
This is just women gathering together to share resources, talk, discuss, come together 1 hour. I said 1 hour, no BS. We're in, we talk, we're out. You know.
Let me tell you what I think is cool about this. I'm not going to be able to be there because I'm not a lady and it's a lady function, but there is no talk commonly about something that 100% of the female population goes through. Why is that?
Yeah, so we thought that the medical conversation around menopause was bad. We just recently found out the medical conversation around perimenopause is even worse. And let me explain what I mean by that. So if you go to PubMed, which is a website where every documented research medical paper is published, right? PubMed. You go there and you can search published medical research.
Right.
And maybe you're not like me, so you don't do that. But if you are like me and nerd out over stuff like that, you'll go there. If you search pregnancy, you get almost 1 million returns
Sure.
of published medical research. Okay. If you search menopause, you get about 90,000. And this was a year or so ago.
Sure.
Okay. Well, just recently, though, if you search perimenopause, you get about 9,000. So there just hasn't been a lot of research. There's been a ton of research on pregnancy, which not every woman will experience.
Sure.
There's been minimal research on menopause, which every woman will experience, and even less research on perimenopause, which is a, potentially 10, 15-year process that, again, every woman is going to go through.
How about papers on hormone replacement therapy?
I don't know. I haven't done that search.
Okay. Because that's really talked about, but it's not always talked about as part of the menopause conversation.
Right. Hormone therapy got a bad rap in the 90s with a medical paper that was researched or that was published. And one of the news programs, I don't know if it was the Today Show or what it was one of those, kind of the way they presented the information, the way they said the statistics scared people into thinking hormone therapy gives you breast cancer.
Right. And that has been proven untrue multiple times since.
Yes, but, once you put something out in the media and preach it as the gospel truth, and, in the 90s, there still was minimal media. We didn't have access to all the news media that we have now.
Sure.
And so it was just believed. And so now we're trying to do better.
Well,
more education.
And you still hear crazy things in the news media as it pertains to medication. Like, I heard a story today where one of the major publications again called ivermectin a horse dewormer, not a for-use human drug.
Right.
And that's crazy.
This brings me to the conclusion in life that I have to do my own research.
Okay.
I have to find my own information. Years ago, I read this book. Do you remember Dr. Oz?
Sure.
When he was just
Mehmet Oz.
Just a guy who Oprah helped him get a TV show.
Right.
He was a guest on Oprah's show, and then she, helped put together his own show, and then he published some books.
Sure.
And I think he went on to politics or something. But
he ran for U.S. Senator in Pennsylvania.
There you go. So you would know that.
On the Republican ticket.
So all of that aside,
John Fetterman won that.
He wrote a book called You, the Patient. And I happened to read that book.
Okay.
And let me just summarize the book for you. You have to advocate for yourself.
Sure.
You have to do it. You have to find the information. Your doctor, I don't care how good they are, doesn't have your best interest at heart. You do.
Sure.
You're in charge, which actually is a great lead in to something I wanted to talk about, which is you are in charge of your life. I actually wrote down, make your life what you want it to be. That's something I wanted to talk about today. So you didn't even know that, but
Nope.
This was a great lead into it. If you don't like something about your life or you need answers, go find them. I'm sorry. We live in an age of so much information. There is no reason why you can't find answers to the questions that you have in life.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I have been a voracious reader of information on perimenopause and menopause for the last 4 years, 4 years and 3 months. And prior to that, I read, when I got my diagnosis and I had to decide, okay, how am I going to move forward with this?
Are we talking about your cancer diagnosis?
Yeah. So I had an abnormal pap, and then
Right.
I went and they did the colposcopy, which the fact they do that without any kind of pain management is wholly unacceptable.
Right.
So if you don't know what a colposcopy is, maybe Google it. and they give you no anesthesia for that.
Meanwhile, I'm going to go have a colonoscopy on Thursday, and I can't wait for my propofol.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up. And, you know, a colposcopy is punching, think about a hole punch. It's very similar.
Right.
Hole punching parts of your cervix. They took 4 samples.
And that sounds to me like torture.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so then we get the test results back, and I have to decide how I want to proceed, right? So a lot of people would say, well, what did your doctor say? This is all about make your life what you want it to be. So it all relates, right?
Okay.
I'm talking about a medical thing with me, but it could be your business. It could be your marriage. It could be your, I don't know, relate the idea to whatever you're going through. But a lot of people would say, well, what did your doctor recommend?
Right.
Well, I don't care what my doctor recommends, really, at that point. I read a whole book about hysterectomies and different other options. I mean, it was thick.
And
it was like a medical test book.
Your daughter-in-law, who's a nurse.
Yeah, I consulted everyone I know in the medical community. So multiple doctors, multiple nurses, gathering information, gathering opinions. I did talk with the doctor who had diagnosed it, then was referred to a surgeon. But I didn't make a decision until I had gathered all the information.
Sure.
And then I made the decision of how I wanted to proceed. You know, and it's interesting. This is why you need to be in charge of your life. When I went in for my last pre-op appointment with the surgeon, and we're going to make a final decision on how to proceed with this, right? And all of this happened, by the way, in a matter of like 2 weeks. I mean, it was crazy fast. So I went in and I told him, I think that a hysterectomy is probably my best course of action. And he said, well, that's really aggressive. You know, you do realize you have other options. And I said to him, lean in and listen up, people. I said to him, have you actually read my test results? And he said,
this is shocking.
Well, no, I haven't fully read your test results.
Which means no, he hasn't read them at all.
And I said, well, I'm pretty quick, and I know you have at least 15 minutes booked out for this appointment. So we're going to pause right here, open my chart, and read through my test results, because I think you'll find we don't have all the options you think we have. Go ahead. And I can only do that because I am of the mindset that doctor, I don't care what kind of degree he has. I don't care. I have employed him to care for me.
Right.
So I'm in charge.
Right.
That's just how I feel, you know? And so he is in my employment right now.
Right.
And so he read through the test results and then apologized to me for not being prepared and said, I'm afraid that you're correct. We really don't have any option but to do a full hysterectomy and remove your cervix as well.
Right.
Because of the test results.
Right.
What if I had, when he said, well, that seems really aggressive, you know, you have options, and I would have chosen to listen to whatever his recommendation was. Let's say it was a LEAP procedure.
Sure.
Which is like a laser scooper. So
right.
They scoop out around it. And then what if they missed it? They don't check for margins like they do with what I had done. That I don't think they do anyway. What if I had listened to him and then maybe gone back in a year or two later
to know that you've now got stage 4 cancer? Yeah. And what they called it was precancerous, but no. They call it precancerous to make you not freak out. It was full-on cancer.
Here's the other thing that I find interesting. When I talked with, and I don't want to say who it was,
okay,
because for privacy purposes,
Sure.
but I talked with someone in the medical community who said, oh, they're calling it, I had sent my results to them.
Right.
And they read it through and they said, what are they telling you this is? And I said what they called it. And they said, okay, well, at our hospital, we call that cancer.
Right. Not pre-cancer.
I'm not sure why they're calling it that. So it was interesting, even that
Right.
wasn't uniform and wasn't the same. And what if I hadn't asked questions? So I guess all that to say, this episode, I really want people to take away from this episode, like, you are in charge of your life.
That's right.
Whether it's your medical stuff or whether it's something else. If there's something you want to learn about or you want to do or you don't like where your life is, it's up to you to change it.
Right.
If you look at somebody else's life and you get irritated because, well, they've got that and I don't have that, well, go get that.
I love it
Figure
when
it
people
out.
say to me, David, it must be so easy for you to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Right.
Oh, it may seem easy because I'm having fun and smiling and laughing while it's happening.
Yeah.
But is it easy? Maybe, maybe not. You know
Right.
what I mean? Unless you have been in the person's shoes that you're talking to, you cannot know how easy something is.
Well, even if you're in their shoes, everybody filters the world through their
Lens.
lens,
Sure.
right? And your lens is made up by all of your past experiences.
Right. And yes, I may insert into the graphics of everything I see sunshine and rainbows, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I believe that things are great all the time, and guess what? They are. And if I believed that things were bad all the time, guess what? They would be.
Yeah.
So it really does have a lot to do with mindset, and you are in control of your life, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you and I feel very differently about doctors, which is why I take you to the doctor with me so you can ask the hard questions, because I am from the generation that says, okay, doctor, thank you. And
We're
I just
the
do
same
what they
generation.
say. Well, that's true. But you know what I mean? You're a much different thinker than I am. You know?
Do you know why? I can tell you when it happened.
Okay, tell me.
My mom was sick with a lung disease for 5 years, and I watched her just nod her head and agree.
Okay. And then she died.
And I found all kinds of alternative therapies that she could have done
I gotcha.
that she wouldn't do, wasn't interested in learning more about, because her doctor didn't say anything about that.
I see.
What if?
Yeah.
What if she had gone to Seattle and done that cutting edge therapy that they were doing, the treatment that they had at that hospital in Seattle for that particular lung disease?
Sure.
What if she had done that? What if it had worked?
Right.
She wouldn't do it.
Because
Well, the doctor says she believed Yakima, Washington was where her doctors were, and she wouldn't, listen to anyone else or go anywhere else or consider any other opinion.
And getting a second opinion is important, but why aren't you qualified to have an opinion of your own?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And my dad, the same thing. My dad got a lung cancer diagnosis, and my mom's lung thing wasn't cancer. It was idiopathic primary pulmonary hypertension, in case anybody's interested.
I
and
don't
wants
know
to
what any of those words mean, but it sounds
look
bad.
that up. But you think of it as high blood pressure, but only in your lungs. And then she had a secondary issue where there were hardening of the lungs, like
Okay.
spots that were hardened, and they just grew and grew and grew. And anyway.
Like on the vesicles?
They just got hard, like when a sponge, your lungs are like sponge, but
yeah.
when a sponge is dry and it's hard. Imagine if it just stayed hard and that part of the sponge can't absorb water.
Yeah, awful.
So she couldn't absorb oxygen. Anyway. Right. So my dad had lung cancer, and we went and we met with the doctor, and the doctor said, this is what you should do. And my dad said, okay. And I was like, sorry. And you want to talk about a sales job? I've never seen such a slick sales job as when we went to that oncologist. I mean, they have it down to an absolute, it was, as a salesperson, enviable. I mean, on cue, different people came in the room and they had different parts to play in this process of selling him on chemotherapy.
Right.
Which may or may not have been the best thing for him.
And he went pretty quick, though,
He had
right?
lung cancer, had one treatment of chemotherapy, and then suddenly had it in his brain, his spleen, his stomach, his spine, his lungs,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
We went from lung to this after one chemo treatment. How does that even happen? I never got any explanation. And if you're familiar with that, I'd love to have a conversation because it just left me very confused. And so, but he never questioned it.
Yeah.
Never, ever. And I can't imagine living that way.
Sure.
Never questioning a doctor. My doctor says, my dentist says you need a root canal. And I'm like, prove it. I mean, I'm just that person.
Sure.
I just have, and I've always been, interested in natural medicine. And my whole adult life, I've studied natural medicine, and I'm a weirdo who makes, I've got tea over there right now that's digestive tea,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe none of it means anything. I don't know.
Well, what I do know is you're right when you say everybody has to control their own lives. You cannot be victimized unless you allow that to happen.
Man, that's true.
You can be hurt by someone else, but you don't need to carry that with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I was just thinking. Of course, I'm listening to this book. I love audiobooks, right? I don't read anymore. Pages. I can't even do it anymore. But I can, but I love listening to audiobooks because I listen to them in the car while I'm driving. And I'm listening to The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
I've just crossed over to the second half of the book. I'm on like chapter 13. And it talks a lot about this too. Like the first half of the book is all about the let them.
Right.
Like let people live their lives. Let them make their decision. The second half of the book is all about let me and how I take responsibility for my life.
Sure.
Right. And so I'm sure that's contributing to me being fired up about this, but it is my core belief anyway that and I've talked about this for years and years and years. If you don't like your life, change it. You're not a tree. Your roots aren't all deep into the ground. You just get up and go do something different.
Right.
And so I'm super fired up about it recently. I was just telling you, I've picked up a little bit of menopausal weight that I'm not thrilled with. Well, I finally, I've just bitch and complain about it for, 3 years now. And I finally just thought, okay, yes, my body hurts. Well, it hurts if I do something. It hurts if I don't do something.
Right.
So I might as
something.
well do something, right? So now I'm just no excuses, making it happen, and it's not perfect, but it's progress. So I don't like this thing about my life, so I'm changing it.
Sure. And that's how I feel about activity,
Yeah.
If I can't be active, I feel cagey. Yeah. I start to lose my mind.
Yeah. Well, even business activity. I've been annoyed. I want, we've talked about this the last few weeks. You're like, we're doing great. And I say, we don't have enough business. We need more business.
Right.
Well, so over the weekend, I sat down and I spent several hours actually kind of hammering out a plan.
Right.
And because I'm sick of wanting more business, but not actually doing anything to.
It's interesting that you say that because we are manifesting a ton of business and we're closing deals regularly. So I think it's interesting that as we close a deal, you now are scrambling to get another one. You know what I mean? It's
a little bit of that. I had a business coach one time who said to me on a stage in front of a couple thousand people, by the way, I was live coaching on a stage, which is, in some ways terrifying, who said to me, something that's interesting about you is no matter where the mark is, it's like you have this yardstick,
right?
And success is marked right here on the yardstick. And you achieve it, and instead of celebrating or feeling a sense of achievement, you just move the mark higher.
Right. That's what you do.
Yeah. That coach obviously was not any help at all because I still do that. But
I listened to a great presentation once by a rock star salesperson, and she said...
But she cost $1,000 an hour.
Right. She said, this presentation I listened to, said that goals are for quitters. And I thought, well, let me understand that. And then she talked about how if you set an income goal, for instance... The normal person, just the average person, if they hit the income goal, start slowing down a little bit because we're there. Meanwhile, her whole thing was, don't put a cap on your future.
Right.
Go get as much as you possibly can. And I thought that was very interesting. That's not how I work. That doesn't motivate me.
Right.
But it's one way to look at it, and you're kind of one of those people.
Well, in ninja selling is when I took that course. They call it installation, I think. It's a week-long thing. Mm-hmm. They teach you how to write affirmations.
Right.
Right. And they also teach you why, the science behind it.
Yeah, it unlocks part of your brain.
It programs your reticular activating system.
Correct.
So you can Google that. But they taught us to write, if you're going to do like an income affirmation, the example was, I enjoy earning, let's say $250,000. I enjoy earning $250,000 per year, or $250,000 or more per year. Right. Or more.
Yeah.
You know, and they talked about that, about you don't cap yourself. And there was like science to the whole thing. It's up to me to do it.
Okay.
Enjoy. You're choosing this life. So enjoy it. If it starts feeling heavy, if it starts feeling like a drag, remember, you enjoy this.
Right.
Earning, because it's work. It's a job.
You earned it. If you got it, you earned it.
So there's just so much to even those first three words. Sure. I enjoy earning, right? Anyway. So
I think that's great. I don't think we should stop talking about that. You can expand on that if you want to.
I mean, that's really all I have to say. I would encourage, someone listening, if you're not familiar with writing affirmations and why, the why behind the what is so much more important than the what. Programming your brain is vital because that's what sets your mindset, and mindset is absolutely everything. This is going to be such a great example. I decided, like a fool, the other night, I said, hey, let's walk, it's 90 degrees or whatever. Let's walk from our house down to our client's new construction home and check on the progress.
Right.
It's not that far.
1.8 miles.
It's not that far. We can walk down there and then walk back, and it'll be a great walk. And the walk there was great. And then the walk back was all uphill, and it was hot, and it was a 2 out of 10. Do not recommend. It was rough. But on the way back, this is to mindset, right? On the way back, I said to you, I'm just going to start pretending that we're in Hawaii.
Yep.
And we're just walking to dinner.
Yep.
That's all we're doing. Because when we were in Hawaii for anniversary, we walked 20,000 steps a day. No big deal.
No big deal. But it was vacation fun.
Right.
It wasn't hard work on the body. It was vacation fun.
So here we are walking up this hill in 90-degree weather, and we're in the last mile of what turned out to be this 4-mile walk.
Right.
And here we go. And 4 miles may not seem like a lot to you, but for me right now with my ailments, it is. And so I'm trudging along, and I go, I'm just going to pretend I'm in Hawaii. And you know what? We're just walking to dinner, and it's just another half mile down the road, and we'll be at dinner fun party time. And I'm just saying this out loud just to kind of be silly and pass the time. And all of a sudden I realized my body felt a little lighter.
Yeah.
My feet didn't feel as heavy. They were a little lighter. My whole mood lightened up, and I thought, holy cow, I just shifted my whole mindset about this on accident.
And let me tell you how that worked for me. Going down the hill to the house, my ankle hurt in a weird way because I had just gotten out of a boot, right? And we're not even sure how much I'm supposed to be walking on it, right? But here's the thing. The whole way down the hill, I was going slower than I normally like to go, and I was kind of babying my ankle. On the way up the hill, while we were having this conversation, all of the pain went away, and I've had no pain in my ankle since that day. How weird is that?
Interesting. The mind is such a powerful, powerful thing.
If you tell yourself, oh, you need to baby your ankle because, you had that injury when you were disc golfing in San Francisco and blah, 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 it still hurts. Now, I do have remarkable healing time.
Yeah, you heal faster than anybody I know.
And I was walking on it 2 weeks before they told me I should.
Yeah.
And it felt okay. Well, now it's fully remediated.
Yeah.
I'm still being careful. I haven't gone back to racquetball yet. I don't want to
probably a good idea.
Well, yeah. But I think, I'll lay off it for another week or so, and then I'll be fully back.
Yeah.
Because of that conversation. Halfway up the hill, what had hurt the whole time no longer hurt at all, and the pain has not come back. How weird is that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's magic.
So
right?
I just want to tell everybody about a listing that we have because it's different. It's kind of unusual. Mm-hmm. So I don't typically talk about our listings on our podcast, but I'm going to on this one because it is it is the type of listing that is hard to find and highly sought after, and we've got one right now. So listen up. The address is 2728 Kyle Road in Kennewick. Okay. The reason why it's so unique is it has a full basement apartment, and it is a beautiful light walkout basement with its own separate entrance.
I would stay in the basement almost exclusively. It's awesome.
So yeah, it's a one bedroom technically, but it does have another large room, which would make like an awesome theater room. But anyway, so that's the lower level. And again,
with a full kitchen,
its own parking spot and its own entrance around the back. So it can be completely locked off from the rest of the house.
Right.
And then you've got the main level and the second story that is all living space. So, use that however you like. Right now, the current owner rents the basement apartment out to a tenant, but it is on a month to month. So it doesn't, once the house is sold, you can do with it whatever you want. But it's on
0.87 acres, I think.
I don't know.
0.87.
Maybe.
I think it's 0.87. I can see it in my head.
My brain.
It's either 0.87 or 0.67, but I think it's 0.87.
Yeah. So it's on a good bit of property that's gorgeous. The house has been almost completely remodeled. The only part that hasn't been remodeled is the primary suite. And it's just an incredible property. It's just incredible. Again, the address is 2728 Kyle Road in Kennewick. You can go to SherwoodAustin.com and search that, or Zillow, or whatever site you use. I don't care where you find it. Just find it.
Just type in the address into your Google.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll show up.
And then, if you follow us on social media, my social media is all public. And so anybody can look at my social media, Londa Sherwood Austin or Sherwood Austin on TikTok, and you can share our videos, our posts about that. We'd really love to get the word out so that the exact right person finds this property.
It's awesome.
It could be multi-generational. It's just a really, really cool property.
Maybe in post-production, we'll have Ada put the most recent video at the end of the YouTube so that people can see it.
Maybe we'll do that. Yeah.
She knows how to do that.
Yeah.
And now that we have a creative director, that's something we should do.
Yep. Well, that's all I've got for today, David.
I think it was good. I didn't mean to monopolize so much of the time talking about healthcare.
But if you relate it to you're in charge of your life and your mindset, and if go make your life what you want it to be.
Right.
You've got every tool you need.
And your forthrightness with your healthcare journey is very popular for this program. Our most popular one was when we talked about your cancer diagnosis and how you got through it. So there you go. That's all I have to say about that.
There you have it, and there it is.
All right. For Londa Joanne Sherwood Austin, the prettiest girl in the world, and I do love this little thing you got cooking today. Love it. My name is David Austin, and this has been another edition of The Session with Londa and David. We'll be right back here again next week. We can't wait to hear from you. If you have questions, reach out to us.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, there you have it. There it is. See you guys.
What's $750,000 get you in Kennewick, Washington? Let's take a look. There's a lot of ground to cover. Let's start up here.
A large primary bedroom.
An ensuite with incredible views.
Bedroom number 2.
Bedroom number 3.
Bedroom number 4.
Another full bathroom.
A flex room for work.
Or play.
A kitchen with a killer view.
A formal living room.
And a formal dining room. And a family room right off the kitchen.
A laundry room with a large utility sink.
But wait, there's more. A full basement apartment with its own outside entrance. And whatever this is, unmatched views from the deck.
And all this space